Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Sam and today's video is going to be my August wrap up. I read a total of 12 books in August, which is honestly more than I thought that I had read. I was kind of surprised when I went back in my Goodreads and was like, oh, I've read that many. Technically, I read 13, but one of them was an arc that doesn't come out until September, like 6th, I think. So I'm gonna include that in September because I'm also vlogging it, so I don't want to spoil it for you, but that's neither here nor there. 12 books, and I would say I had a pretty good reading month. Most of my books were 4 stars or 4.5 stars, so for me, that's a pretty dang good month. Even though I didn't have a 5-star read, hopefully in September I will have one, but I'm really just enjoying reading again, and that's all I can ask for at this point. After being in a slump for so long, 4 stars is great to me. It's really great. And you all know I'm harsh on my books anyway, so 4 stars is good. I would recommend it. So the very first book that I finished in August is Pines by Blake Crouch. Now, Blake Crouch is an author that has been on my radar for quite a while. This is the first book that I have read by him, and I'm currently listening to book 2 in the series, so definitely I'm liking where this is going. I ended up giving this one a 4-star. So we're following Ethan, and Ethan has been sent to this small town in Idaho called Wayward Pines. And the town is very weird. He's very suspicious of the town and its people, but he is there because I believe he's like a US Marshal, something of that nature, but he has been sent to Wayward Pines to investigate the disappearance of 2 of his colleagues. And when he gets there, things start to unravel, and this town isn't what he thinks it is, and he has like memories of a past life, but it's like, is that real? Is this town real? What is happening? So Blake Crouch, at least this book and then the second book and what I've heard from him, he does a lot of sci-fi and like thriller aspects in there. So I'm liking this. I think this might be like one of the ways that I can actually read sci-fi because I can wrap my head around this. And this was like it's a pretty short book and it was like jam-packed full of stuff. And then the end, you're like, okay, what is going on? So I had a lot of fun reading this and definitely looking forward to finishing the rest of the series and possibly reading more from Blake Crouch. So the second book that I finished in August is Quicksilver by Callie Hart. I feel like I don't even need to tell you all what this is about. This is going around. People are loving this book and for good reason. I don't remember what I said I rated this in my vlog because I did vlog this book. Did I say 4 stars or 4.5 stars? I don't know. But it's teetering on the edge there. We'll just go ahead to be on the safe side, 4 stars. I had such a good time reading this book. I did not want to put it down. This, so much freaking fun, okay? So much fun. Is this the perfect fantasy world? No. Is the magic system perfect? No. Plot perfect? No. But you will get into this book and you will have a damn good time. So in this book, we are following Saris and Kingfisher. Saris, she ends up stealing something from a queen's guard. They hunt her down and take her prisoner. She is kind of set to be executed or punished for stealing this item from the queen's guard. And when she's there, she kind of touches this sword and a man appears in a pool of quicksilver and he takes her back to his kingdom where he lives, and that is Kingfisher. And Kingfisher has been gone for many, many years. Okay, he kind of went away to save his people, kind of self-sacrificed in order to keep his people safe. And it is their romance and Saris finding out kind of there's more to the world than she thinks, and there's more to Kingfisher than she thinks. And yeah, obviously that's just a very like dumbed down version of this book. But with fantasy, it's really hard to tell you without giving stuff away. If you haven't read this book and you want a just quick paced fantasy with tension, banter, this is the one. This is the one. Next up, we have Mad Honey by Jodi Picoult and Jennifer Feeney Bolin. Finney Bolin? Feeney? I don't know. That just makes me think of Feeney from Boy Meets World. Feeney? Yeah. Okay, this book. So I ended up giving this book 3 stars. Okay, I think the message in this book is very important, and this is a really good book, and it's written very well with the subjects that it talks about. So we're following Olivia and her son Asher. Now, Olivia was married to Asher's father, and they had seemingly a very good, healthy relationship, but he was abusive to her. And so she ended up divorcing him and leaving with her son Asher when he was very young. So it's kind of just been the two of them up until now. Asher is a teenager, and she's sort of like, she's a beekeeper, and she's dealing with life and, you know, what she went through. And then her son has a girlfriend, Lily, who turns up dead one day, and Asher is the prime suspect. So all of these feelings and all of these things are brought back to the surface for Olivia when it's like, okay, I took my son and myself away from an abusive relationship. Is my son now an abuser? So reading this, especially from Olivia's POV, a mother watching their son go through that and then being like, okay, I know my son, but I thought I knew my husband too. I did like that, but when I tell you, I was so bored. I was bored, okay? And then all of the beekeeping stuff, I didn't. I didn't care about it. So yeah, I think this book, again, really good. Like, the subject matter is good and it was handled in a really good way, but I was just bored out of my mind. Bored out of my mind. So yeah, 3 stars for Mad Honey. I know a lot of people really love this book, and I love that for you. I'm not saying that I hated this book. I don't know. I was just bored. I was bored. Sorry. Next up, I have Rally by Devney Perry. This, if I'm getting the series correct, is book 3 in the Treasure State Wildcats series. That's a lot. So we are following Rush Ramsey and Faye. Rush is the quarterback of the Treasure State Wildcats, and he's, you know, kind of hotshot, has a lot of things going for him, a big bright future ahead of him. And Faye kind of she's not doing so well. She doesn't really have a family life. She is living with her ex-boyfriend, and that whole dynamic is just not good at all. And she's working as a waitress and going to school and just trying to make ends meet. Well, Rush and Faye meet one night, and they have a one-night stand, and then Faye's pregnant. I ate this book up. I ate it up, okay? You all know I love an accidental pregnancy, and this one was so freaking good. So Faye ends up actually moving in with Rush because when her ex-boyfriend finds out that she's pregnant by another man, he kicks her to the curb. So Rush is like, no, you're gonna come and you're gonna live with me. But Rush lives in a house with, I think, 2 other football players. So it's not an ideal situation, but Faye she kind of has nowhere else to go. I just really loved these two in their relationship. I thought for them being in college and the situation that they're in, they both were very mature about things. And Faye, I felt so hard for Faye, what she went through with her family, and just feeling like no one cared about her, like she didn't have anyone to depend on. But Rush and his family immediately stepped up and was like, I'm gonna be here for you, whatever you need. And I just thought it was so freaking cute. So if you're looking for a really good like college accidental pregnancy, please pick up Rally. It was so good. I gave this one 4 stars. And then I have another fantasy romance that I also read in a vlog, so I'm gonna try to be quick about this one. The Veiled Kingdom by Holly Renee. I ended up giving this one, I think, 3 stars or 3.5 stars is what I said in my vlog. I have not been putting my ratings on Goodreads. I don't know why. I don't know why. It seems very final. And lately I'm just like, I don't know that I want to do that. So I need to get back on that because I don't remember when I rated books. Okay, so yeah, 3 stars or 3.5 stars. It's really funny that for me, I thought this book was slow, like there was nothing happening, nothing going on. But then when I hear other people talk about it, they're like, this was so fast paced. I read through this so quickly. And while, yeah, I did get through this super quick, I'm like, nothing happened. What happened in this book? What happened? Nothing. So we are following Naira and Dacre. So this one kind of starts out a little like Quicksilver because Naira is taken to the palace, the king's palace, because she has stolen something. And while she's there, she meets a friend, and this friend just so happens to be Dacre. It's his sister, and Dacre is the head of this rebellion in this world. And when he comes to save his sister's like, no, we're gonna take my friend. And so Naira has to go back to this veiled kingdom where this rebellion is, and Naira also has to hide who she is because she is the princess, but her father has kept her hidden for her entire life because she has no magic, and that is unheard of in this world. And her father was just very ashamed of that and didn't want anyone to know. So she actually ended up escaping the palace because the rebellion came one night and like breached the palace, and it was, people died and there was a lot of stuff that happened that night, and she took that to her advantage and left. And so now she has to be in this rebellion and hide the fact that she is the princess that everyone is searching for. So yeah, like the setup I really liked, and I like the characters, and I am going to read book 2 because I really like how this one ended. It ended in a way that I didn't expect it to end, so I'm very curious how book 2 is going to pick up. But yeah, there just wasn't enough that happened in this book for me. Like Naira is like training and trying to figure out how she's going to fit into this rebellion, and that was just it. There wasn't a whole lot else going on. So the next book that I read in August is The Book of Azreal by Amber V. Nicole. This is another one that I vlogged in my fantasy romance reading vlog. So this is book 1 in the Gods and Monsters series. We are following Diana and Liam. Now, Diana, in order to save her sister's life, her sister was dying, and Diana loves her sister more than anyone in the world. She will do anything to keep her sister safe. So she ends up selling her soul. She becomes this immortal badass who can kind of just kill anyone, do anything. She can turn into anyone, and she's, like I said, she's a badass. But the man that ended up saving her sister, she now owes her life to. She does his bidding. She is at his beck and call. He has her basically just go out and kill anyone that he wants her to. And he is also looking for this book called The Book of Azreal, and she does not want him to get his hands on it. So Liam, who is a god in this world, is sort of brought back to stop Diana's boss from also finding this book. And so Diana sort of turns on her boss and gets with Liam to find the book themselves. And so there's a lot of forced proximity in here because they are spending a lot of time together searching for this book. There's very much like a hate to love dynamic in here because Liam does not like Diana's kind, and he thought that he had killed them all, but here is Diana and she's very much alive. He's like, I know that I killed every one of you. How are you here? What is going on? Anytime I talk about a fantasy romance, I feel like such an idiot because I'm like, did you even read the book? Like, do you know what this book is about? And you all probably think I'm an idiot too because I feel like it never makes sense. And when I go back and edit this, I'm like, just shut up. So yeah, this book, really good. Read it. I am definitely picking up book 2 in September because I need to know more. This is like, it's more of a high fantasy than, let's say, like the Veiled Kingdom that I just talked about. The fantasy world definitely takes more of like a front seat in this to the romance, and I didn't mind that at all. We still got enough romance in here where you appreciate it, but also like that didn't mean that the plot and the world building aspect of this, took a backseat to the romance. So, yeah, I really liked Diana and Liam and their growth and how they really just learned to lean on each other, because they're both very just misunderstood characters, and they became friends first, and she taught him a lot of things about like the modern world, and I don't want to say it was cute, but it was like their romance was sort of innocent in this world and the things that are going on. So I am looking forward to book 2. So yeah, pick this up. 4 stars, 4.5 stars. I can't decide. So next up we have a historical fiction book, and that is Winter Garden by Kristen Hanna. I am trying to make my way through Kristen Hanna's backlist. She is a new favorite author of mine. I ended up giving this one 4.5 stars. So we are following Meredith and Nina. And we open up this book and we kind of see their family dynamics. So Meredith is married, she has children, but her marriage it's not going the best. Meredith is very much a kind of workaholic, I don't want to say like she's stoic, but she's just not the most like loving and affectionate woman. And she has like her to-do list and things she has to do, and she kind of doesn't veer away from that much. And then you have Nina, who is a photographer for I think it's some kind of, not like National Geographic, but she goes to these like war-torn countries and takes pictures, and then these pictures get published so she can show people like the real and raw of what is happening in these countries. And so she's really putting herself in the line of danger like every day. And you meet them and their parents. So their father is just this loving, just kind man, but their mother is Russian, and she has really not shown them a lot of love, not shown them a lot of emotion, not really shown them much of herself at all while they were growing up. And so their mother and her past has always been a mystery, but she would tell them these fairy tales when they were younger, but then she just stopped one day. And there was this one particular fairy tale called, I think, the Prince and the Peasant, or the Peasant and the Prince, something of that nature, that she would tell them, but never the whole story. And so their father in the beginning of this book does end up passing away. But before he passes, he tells the girls, please promise me you will have your mother tell you the entire story of the prince and the peasant girl. And Meredith is like, she's not going to do it. It's not going to happen. It's not worth your time. Nina, who comes home from, whatever country she's in, she's like, I'm going to get her to tell me this story. And so Nina is staying with her, and she convinces her mother to slowly start telling her the story. And you are getting the story told through their mother's perspective in Leningrad during World War II in Russia. And so the girls are learning more about their mother and more about where they came from. And the bond that at the end of it, when they finally realized, like, this is why our mother was the way that she was, because their mother, like, she had to go through some very hard things, and she had to make some very hard decisions, and she just pretty much their entire lives and her entire life, she's hated herself for it. And she didn't feel like she deserved to be happy and that she deserved these girls in her life. And so Nina and Meredith are like, it makes so much sense. And they come out having just such an understanding and respect for their mother, and a newfound love for their mother, and a newfound love for them as sisters, because because their mother didn't really push to have a relationship with them. Nina and Meredith really didn't have a good relationship anymore. And so just all around, the relationships in this book and the development of the characters and the development of the relationships, I loved. But the reason I'm not giving this one 5 stars is the beginning of this book was a little slow for me. And while I did sob at the end of this book, I'm trying not to give every book that makes me cry a 5-star rating. So yeah, 4.5 stars, which might as well be a 5-star. This was really freaking good. So next up, I have Strange Sally Diamond by Liz Nugent. So I saw Cynthia from Kindle After Dark on Instagram. She also has a YouTube, but she's more active on Instagram. She was talking about this in her stories, and she was crying over this book. And this is a thriller. And so I'm like, I always like a good thriller. And if a thriller is going to make someone cry, I want to read it because I want to cry too. I didn't cry in this, but what Sally goes through is absolutely heartbreaking. So Sally Diamond is in her 40s, and she has been kept away from pretty much the world. Her father was a psychologist or psychiatrist, and he just thought that it was better that she like stay in the house and just be away from people because she wasn't really able to like socially acclimate. They tried, she went to school for a little bit and it just like it didn't work out. So she's just been, it's been her and her dad, and they have a routine, and Sally does not deviate from the routine. She's very like, if this is what the instructions say, this is what I'm going to do. And at the beginning of this book, her father ends up passing away. And he always told her, burn my body and like throw me in the trash. And so that's what she does. But her father had left her like little envelopes with like step-by-step instructions to do, but she didn't open that until after he was gone. And so she goes into town one day and they're like, you know, how's your dad? And she's like, oh, he passed. And they're like, what? And so the cops get called, and one of her father's friends comes in and is like, Sally, what happened? Like, you can't just burn someone and then throw them away. Like, there's proper steps you have to take. And so you're following Sally as the people of the town and her family start to try and get her out of her shell and get her out of the house. But you're also following this man named Peter. You get his perspective of like him kind of growing up, and he's telling his story, but also you're getting Sally's history because she was adopted into the family. Heartbreaking. But then again, it made you so hopeful, and you were rooting for Sally the entire time. Like rooting for her to do good, rooting for her to have a life and be happy. And then the ending came and I was like, what? No. I loved this book up until the ending. And then I'm like, you've got to be kidding. No. So I am torn on how I want to rate this. I'm thinking probably a 4-star, but the ending really killed it for me. Why did it have to end like that? Why? This was freaking good, and then the ending. I'm upset. And then we have the newest Emma Scott release, which is Falling Like Stars. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I read this, I think, in like 2 days. I was so excited for this book, so freaking excited. She just kind of dropped it on us. Had no idea she was working on a new book, but very thankful that we had a new Emma Scott book. So in this book, we are following Rowan and Zach. Now, I will say this book opens up, the prologue is devastating. We see Rowan when she is like 15 or 16, and her, you know, high school boyfriend are sitting on her porch and just, you know, talking, having fun. And he goes across the street to get her a sweater. When he comes back, he is hit by a car. And that has sort of set the tone for the rest of Rowan's life. She feels like she does not deserve anything good because she feels at fault for what happened to her boyfriend. So she's lived her life thinking, I don't deserve anything good. She kind of let all of her dreams go. She really doesn't do relationships. She's just like a one-night stand, kind of like, not even one-night stand. She just wants to have sex, and then like that's good. Like she doesn't need anything deeper. But she works on sets. She is a like assistant, so she does like little things around sets for movies and TV shows, and that's where she meets Zach Butler. Zach is very popular, very attractive, actor, and he is fresh out of an engagement, and things were a little messy in the tabloids, things like that, and she's like instantly like, okay, you are gorgeous, and she's just like mesmerized by him. They sort of start chatting it up on set one day, and Rowan ends up helping Zach out for this scene that he's sort of having trouble with, and he takes her advice and does it, and then the scene is perfect. But then when he goes to thank her, Rowan's like, nope, I'm like running away, I'm getting out of here. So he ends up following her. Rowan has found a hot tub that's like tucked away in one of the sets, and she kind of goes there to unwind and have some wine after, you know, a day of work. And he joins her, and they start having conversations, and he just wants more from her because she doesn't see him as like Zach Butler, this just god of a man that everyone sees him as, and the actor. She actually like has deep, meaningful conversations with him, and he wants more of that. And Rowan wants more of that, but she doesn't feel like she can. She doesn't feel like she deserves it. So one thing that I always really appreciate about Emma Scott and her books and her relationships is it is such a mature relationship. Both of these characters had things in their past and their present that they're going through. Mainly Zach had a lot in his present day that he was going through and needed to work through, and he did that. And Rowan knew, hey, I have to work through my past and my shit before I can give you what you deserve and what I want to give you. And it was just so mature. The relationship was mature. They both like, okay, let me handle this and then I can come to you because it's not fair to you. But still, like, they would have these little moments together, but then they'd take a little bit of time to work on themselves, and then they'd come back and have these moments. And I really liked that. But I will say 4 stars because I did want more from the romance. I wanted more from it. I think this book could have stood to be like 100 pages longer, honestly. Maybe not quite 100, but like, I wanted more from them. And so yeah, 4 stars, still highly recommend. You all know Emma Scott's my girl. I'm always gonna recommend the books that she writes because just solid characters, solid just romance relationships. I love it. So 4 stars. So the next book that I read is We Used to Live Here. Now, this book is a total mindfuck, okay? I finished this and I'm like, wait, what? Huh? What? So we're following, what is the main character's name? Charlie and Eve. So Charlie and Eve have just recently bought this house and they intend to live in it and flip it and then sell it. Well, I believe it's Eve. Yeah, Eve is at home alone one night and she gets a knock on the door from this family. The dad is like, hey, I used to live here and we're just passing through and I wanted to show my family, you know, where I live, where I grew up. Eve doesn't really want to let them in. She's like, this is a little strange, this is sketchy. I'm home by myself. The weather's about to turn really bad. And she's like, let me call my wife. And so she calls her wife Charlie, or maybe, are they married or is it just, she's engaged? I think they're engaged, yeah. So she's like, let me call my fiance. But Charlie doesn't pick up, but she's like, I'm still gonna tell them that Charlie said no because I don't want them in here. So she goes to the door and she's like, oh, not now. But then she feels bad because the daughter is like looking up at the house and like you could tell that the daughter really wanted to be in there and see it. And so she decides to let them in and let them look around. Well, very first thing, the daughter like is playing hide and seek and they can't get her out. And so they're there for like hours. And then when they finally find her and they try to go back down to their moving truck, it's snowing and they can't leave. Like it's stuck. The roads are so bad. And so they end up like staying the night. And then it's just like one thing after another and this family won't leave. That's all I'm going to say because I don't want to give anything away. This book, it's very short, and I will say the audiobook was very, very good. I loved listening to the audiobook. But yeah, total mindfuck, but in the best way, like the best way. So this one gets a 4 star from me. So freaking fun. Definitely creepy vibes. Definitely for sure. It will creep you out, but in a really good way. Next 2 books that I have, I planned on doing a kind of series, and I'm still probably going to do a video series. I asked over on Instagram for books that you wanted me to read. You want my opinion on whether that's just a random book that you have read and you want me to read, or if it's a hyped book that you want me to read and sort of give a review on. Now, I did. I had chosen 3 books out of those recommendations, and I started the first one, and I actually vlogged the first like 2 books, but neither one of them went very well. So I'm like, I don't want to start out a series and then not like either one of the books. So I'm going to start again, try again. So the first book that I read was Between Here and the Horizon by Callie Hart. And I ended up giving this book 2.5 stars. 2.5, 3 stars. It's not the worst book I ever read, but okay. So we're following Cassidy and Sully. So Cassidy is a teacher and she lives, I believe, in like San Francisco or somewhere in California. But she has recently lost her job as a teacher, and her parents own a very struggling restaurant. And so she has been helping them, but now that she doesn't have a job, she can't. So she ends up interviewing for this nanny position for a very wealthy man. It's going to be, for 6 months, she's going to make $100,000. These children have just lost their mother, and the dad is like, I need you kind of to start immediately. So she flies out there, does the interview, but she doesn't think, she's like, that didn't really go well, so I don't think I'm going to get the job. She does end up getting the job, and then she flies out to this very, very like remote town. It's like on an island off Maine, the coast of Maine somewhere. And the dad, though, like the very first night that she's there, he kills himself. So the romance is between Ophelia and the father of these kids, twin brother Sully. And Sully he's got a past, and people know, like, stay away from Sully. He lives in the lighthouse. He's an asshole. Don't really try to, get close to him. Just, it's not gonna happen. Well, his brother knew that he wanted Sully to take over for the children, be their guardian. He just needed some time to come around, and he thought that Ophelia could be the one to get him to see, like, hey, I want to be a part of my niece and nephew's life. So it's their romance. And okay, the writing in this book was good. I liked the twists and turns in this book. I didn't see a lot of them coming, but the thing is, and the reason why I rated it, I think I'm going to go with a 3-star. I didn't feel the connection between Ophelia and Sully. It was like they hated each other and he was an asshole to her for a long time, and then it was like just like a switch was flipped, and all of a sudden he really liked her and really wanted her. And it just seemed like the progression just it wasn't enough for me. I didn't get enough like emotional involvement and enough emotional like investment in their romance at all. So 3 stars for that one. And the last book that I read in August is Seeing Red by Bailey Hannah. Now this one I DNF'd, but it might be like a soft DNF. I don't know if I want to pick it back up. So this one is a surprise pregnancy, which I love, and that's kind of the only reason why I do sort of want to pick it back up. But the way that I was rolling my eyes over the writing in this book and some of the things that like the hero would say to the heroine, and I'm just like, I don't know, it was like very cliched, and that's just not what I wanted at the moment. So I put it down, but I don't know if I'm going to pick it back up. I might, I don't know. I was like 20, maybe 30% of the way through. So does it get better? I don't know. We're following Red and Cassidy. So it's set in like a very, very small town. Wells Ranch, I think is what it's called. I think. Yeah, Wells Ranch. Cassidy is like the town princess. Her dad owns like the only bar in town, and Red he's had a reputation growing up. He was just sort of like a wild kid, and his family is just not the best. So he's just not the most like liked person in the town. So the book opens up with Cassidy and her friend there at a rodeo, and her ex-boyfriend is there, but he's there with the girl that he cheated on Cassidy with. And so Cassidy's like, I can't be having this. I need to make him jealous. I need to make him mad. So she finds the only man sort of available, and that's Red. And so they kind of start making out. And then she's like, okay, this isn't enough. I need to go have sex with Red on my ex-boyfriend's car, on the hood of his car. And so they go to the parking lot and they do it, and then she ends up pregnant. And another thing that kind of bugged me about this book is Red is trying so hard to be there for Cassidy. He's like getting her Jolly Ranchers and just little like care packages because she's been so sick during this pregnancy. And he's telling her like, I will be there for you in like any way that you want me to. Like, I want to be a part of my child's life. But she's like, I don't care. Like, we're not friends. We're not friends. We're not in a relationship. Like, we're not doing that. She's just being really mean to him for no reason when he's just trying to help her and just trying to be there for her and take responsibility for what he did, you know? And she's been so mean to him, and it just was getting on my nerves. And then, like I said, some of the writing, the lines in here was just cringy. So I had to put it down. But if you've read it, let me know. Does it get any better? Do I need to pick it back up? Do I need to finish it? I don't know. But yeah, that is all for my August wrap up. If you have made it to this point in the video and you'd like to let me know, leave me a cat emoji in the comments down below. Also tell me what your favorite book that you read in August was. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.